Hello, Umbra here, and this time's going to be a little bit different with what I'm going to react to. I'm going to react to a Score Esports video. It's probably the most recent one, the one that's been released 3 days ago, I think, and it's how a broke, unsponsored underdog became the first fighting game millionaire. So this is the story of a man named Umbra. And if you don't know who Umbra is, he's a Taiwanese jury main in Street Fighter 6, and he just became the first fighting game millionaire by winning Capcom Cup. And this is a Score Esports explaining his story. Also, one thing to mention before we start. Actually, I'm pretty sure they'll show it at some point. So let's just get into it. Let's get right into it.
It's not every day that fighting games see the rise of a true challenger, someone who reminds everyone what this community is really about.
The story is that he is very poor. He only managed to make it to the Singapore and France and Evo finals because, you know, friends donated and, you know, he scrapped up and saved. And when he arrived in America for Capcom Cup, he only had $300 to spend and apparently just ate all of the free Capcom provided meals.
Umbra was an overlooked outsider who fought through one of the toughest regions in the world to make it to a $1 million tournament.
$1 million.
But an inhuman will to be the best.
You can actually challenge the level. Umbra is gonna take it with the level 1 and a perfect.
A contender who woke up one day and
shows violence, pretty much, yeah. Also, let me just go back a few seconds.
A contender who woke up
there. Do you recognize this? Does anyone recognize this? What he's wearing? So that is the hoodie of one Mio Okami, or Okami Mio. If you don't know who that is, that's a Hololive VTuber, the Wolf Mama. So yeah, he is literally both the strongest and the richest Miofa to ever exist. I tell you, Hololive fans are built different.
One day and decided to make Street Fighter his life.
Chris Wong is highly attentive towards that, and this is what I was talking about.
Oh yeah, that was so lucky.
Saved by the grace of Jerry's fireball.
Yeah, the low fireball was
that no one could see coming or stop.
At the start, I just did not expect Umbra to get out of his group. That's me being 100% real with you.
Without a championship pedgree, a sponsor, or a cent to his name, Umbra did what no one else could.
Who needs sponsorship when you've got this much level of skill?
He's gonna
there it is. It's just $1 million stun break.
Ladies and gentlemen, $1 million is going to be awarded to Umbra.
Insert the Ted DiBiase theme here.
To take the cup. He's represented with jury. He's represented Taiwan, and he will be your first $1 million champion for Street Fighter 6 here at Capcom Cup 10.
I wonder how much he's going to spend on super chats from Mio.
Okay, so before we get into Umbra, just a quick reminder to please like the video if you enjoy it, maybe sub to the channel, or even turn on notifications so that you'll never miss out on any of our newest content. So yeah, less than a year ago, not that many people outside of Asia had even heard of Taiwanese Street Fighter 6 competitor Umbra Yuan Hao.
I never heard of him from the Street Fighter 5 era. And if he did play, it probably would have been at your odd Evolution series, maybe 1 or 2 Asian events,
he went under the name
probably
Kagami,
didn't play high enough for somebody to take notice.
Back in Street Fighter 5, Umbra was a talented Ibuki main who'd adopted the handle Kagami. Despite being a lesser-known competitor, he was already showing signs of brilliance.
Awesome.
I mean, oh, this set. Okay, here we go. Watch. Boom, boom.
Wow.
That was good. That was
Kagami.
That
By the end
was
of 2022, he'd managed to crack top 8 in one of the East Asian CPT World Warrior monthlies, and was starting to establish himself as a formidable regional threat. Unfortunately, right around that time, Street Fighter 5 as a whole was nearing the end of its lifespan. With 6 on the horizon and a mountain of learning ahead of him, Kagami found himself at a crossroads. Would he continue on as a sort of semi-committed competitor, or go all in and give this new game everything he had?
Personally, I'd do the latter.
And then Capcom made an announcement.
I've gone to make an announcement $1 million.
$1 million to first place.
Loads of money.
Season 1. Oh, they're fucking serious.
According to a later stream from Taiwanese legend GamerBee, the prize pool for Street Fighter 6's first ever Capcom Cup was what tipped the scales.
Sometimes you're just flabbergasted. It's like, okay,
I
from
imagine
that point there now, it's like
that would be the case. You see that prize pool and you're just like,
from
that's the sort of
somebody
stuff
is going to
give
have
out.
a crazy amount of Benjamin Franklins. It's going to be insane.
Crazy amount of
For
Benjamin
Kagami,
Franklins, I know,
that
right?
changed everything.
Also,
according to
appreciate the
Reddit
ninja
translations of
thing in
GamerBee's stream, Uma was unemployed at the time, so it was a perfect opportunity to grind like never before. He put in countless hours of practice every day, and even went so far as to change his name to Uma to signify this fresh start. But more importantly, he switched characters. Capcom Cup 10's $1 million purse basically sent the community into a frenzy when it came to ironing out the meta. Everyone wanted to know who the best characters were, since the stakes of SF6's first season were so unfathomably high. And Uma was convinced, as were some others, that the $1 million pick was Jury.
Jury, that's a $1 million character. We seen it as CEO.
You
Jury
have your loops,
is
you have
ridiculous.
your chans, you have
Jury
your
is going to be hella good.
No one expected Jury.
Not the absolute top, but right below it.
And so for hours every day, Uma took Jury into the
wildest
lab
pick you could
and
have gone
learned
for, but it definitely
everything
wasn't the one everyone had in
No
mind.
job meant no fallback, but it also meant no distractions. Uma was fully committed to becoming the best Street Fighter player in the world.
Oh, it's bouncing.
My man went Super Saiyan this training.
One touch. Punish the DP.
Big punish, big punish.
No.
Okay. And it gets to Dawson, that's very difficult to...
Oh, and then the tide rush at the end.
Especially when the Dawson's poking you out like that.
Ran over Burnout Fighter.
His first big chance at an international event came at EVO, but despite being the highest placing Jury at the event, he finished 25th.
He was at like 99%. Didn't go to third bar, so
Well, to be fair, you're up against Punk with Cammy, so
4 rounds straight.
you know we take those.
Despite his meager personal funds, he traveled to offline events in Singapore and France, but bombed out of both brackets in the grind setup. 64. Ultimately,
as a wise man once said, failure is just as, if not more important than success. So failure, you learn more. With success, sure, you still learn, but you let it get to your head if you succeed on things too many times. You need to experience failure in order to succeed. Take from that way well.
Uma was playing in one of the most stacked regions in the world, and the format for this Capcom Cup meant he'd have to win one of just a handful of events to claim a spot. Talented or not, he was running out of chances. But then, out of nowhere, he finally got his big break. Being a top 8 player in his region, Uma was invited to the World Warrior East Asian Regional Final, but an early loss to ZJZ put him in losers. But this time, things were different. He scaled the lower bracket, and against one of his region's biggest threats, delivered a grand finals beatdown.
That's cool. Oh yeah, Chris Wong's gonna appear quite a bit throughout this video. By the way, just so you know.
Now, this was sort of a big deal. Not only had Chris Wong had Uma's number all year, but they were also training partners. What's more, Chris Wong was sort of everything that Uma wasn't. Whereas Chris Wong was a sponsored player who trained outside his full-time job, Uma was your classic all-or-nothing underdog who bet everything on Street Fighter. Winning this event earned...
It's everyone's obsession with rooting for the little guy, rooting for the underdog. You know, I mean, that's sort of like my... I mean, yeah, well, in my country, we sort of have a tendency to root for the underdogs sometimes because it's, you know, it's the people that it's the little guy, it's the local, it's the one you don't expect. And, you know, it's sure, seeing something win for like the 8th time gets a bit boring. So why not let the other guy do it? And that's probably why that a lot of people really like the Rocky movies, just because of that, like that average Joe becoming extraordinary. And I think it has massive parallels to those movies.
Uma a spot at the $1 million Capcom Cup that had inspired him to start grinding to begin with. The first step of his impossible journey was complete. Unfortunately, it seemed all but certain that it would also be his last. Winning an online regional final is one thing. Winning a $1 million tournament stacked with killers from regions even tougher than his own
different thing entirely.
Is something else entirely. Now, one of the reasons that Uma's chances seemed sort of low was the fact that he was still playing Jury. You see, since launch, Jury's stock had gone down.
Jury is actually A tier. You get her to A tier.
She wasn't a low tier, mind you, but very few people still believed she was among the game's best. Instead, she was generally situated near the bottom of the top 10, way behind the likes of Luke, Ken, JP, or even a sleeper like Rashid.
I figured this out like 6 months ago.
Especially Ken and
is the
Luke,
barometer to what makes a great character.
Basically the top 2 characters
one,
in the game.
A great one. We usually have a checklist as to what makes a character strong, and then we work our way up. And Jury ticks all the standard boxes, but then there's about 7 other characters that are better at than her.
Probably JP
That's
as well.
why at some point she went from the top or top 5 to kind of hovering around 5th to 6th, maybe around 8th, 9th, maybe 10th.
So going into Capcom Cup, very few people had eyes on Uma or his group.
At the start, I just did not expect Uma to get out of his group.
I don't think anyone did. That's the thing.
That's me being 100% real with you.
The second best chance to make out of this pool, this is just bias for me. I am a big fan of Uma 327. I think his James Chen is sick.
I think that's right. This is why I like James Chen as well, because he's very knowledgeable about fighting games in general. Just like he's one of the most experienced people that the game's ever had, to be fair, in terms of like the overall passion and of like the in-depth mechanics of each game. And yeah, looking at Group G there. I mean, we have that's. I don't know. He's got some decent competition there. But yeah, I think Uma would have probably taken that, to be fair, especially on that sort of like grind set. But also, I'm just having a look at Group F, and goodness me, thank God he wasn't placed there, because look at the killers there. Menar RT, Ending Walker, Angry Bird, the previous champion. Goodness me. Also, Group E's kind of a kill zone, because you got Snake Eyes and Fudo, so that's yikes.
AF, so I have him as my second favorite to make it out of here.
But Uma had bet everything on this tournament. According to a Reddit post made by one of Uma's Twitch viewers, Uma shared on stream that he'd only brought $300 to Capcom Cup and was living as frugally as possible whilst competing. He'd eat one meal a day and secure free food and drinks where available. For Uma,
and it worked,
this wasn't just a tournament or a trophy. He was playing for his livelihood. And the second that group started, it showed.
Yeah, he did throughout Capcom Cup. He looked like a man possessed. So, like, look at the focus on this man. Okay, what's it? What's this pressure? This corner pressure. You're gonna no. The freaking parry.
Even as Uma steamrolled his way to a 4-1 record,
the
feeling was that he'd sort of been dealt an easy hand to begin with. But come the bracket stage, Uma's jets didn't cool. They started firing even harder.
Look who he did to freaking Kusanagi. What's this?
You can actually challenge a lot more. Uma's gonna take
goodness, and a perfect as well. Like, ooh.
His next matchup was against Lashar, an up-and-coming Korean talent who'd topped what was widely considered to be the hardest
DRX as well, so you know.
Parry doesn't work out.
He got that sponsorship.
His drive gauge has literally been attacked. His drive gauge damage. Good block. Nuts. Block. That's punish. No more. He even tried to do the handing attack. That is 3-0 for Uma.
That was the set that turned my opinion to go, okay, he's a contender to win the cup.
Yeah,
not because there's like literally 4 to 6 players
Ooh.
remaining. It's like, okay, he's done something.
You have my attention now, boy.
Do against the guy who got out of the most dangerous group in the bracket.
Uma's last obstacle before reaching the grand finals was none other than his regional rival. Chris Wong had gone undefeated in his group, and like Uma, soared through the winner's bracket. The man looked unstoppable.
Until he met Uma.
Way! That's fine. Oh no!
Wait, what's this?
That's gonna be it. Oh
boom!
My God!
It's just the first
It wasn't
hit.
even just the fact of like Chris Wong being amazing. It was Chris Wong being amazingly consistent, and Luke, like we said, being one of the $1 million characters. It was that marriage of the two, and that's where we're like, all right, Uma. Like, nice knowing you.
It's a very David and Goliath sort of situation.
Uma and Chris Wong went down to the wire. And then the unthinkable happened.
Blocks it out here, staggered
The defense from Umbra. The perfect
parry. Perfect parry as well.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I do. Perfect parry, immediate feng shui engine.
Do not try any gimmick. Just do the safe jump, please. Thank you. There we go. Still
and look at the pressure. Look at this pressure. Look at this pressure. So what are you going to do? What are you going to do?
And there you have it.
It's either that or getting dizzied.
Peppering his opponent and allows him to create
like that level of aggression from Majori is like that's scary. That is.
Umbra had climbed all the way to the grand finals.
Like I said, Hololive fans are built different.
Still couldn't believe it. But the craziest part was Umbra's opponent. After edging out Gachikun in the loser bracket finals, Chris Wong clawed his way back into one last bout against Umbra.
He's just going, how many times do I have to kill you?
Absolutely destroyed him.
Let's see if he's going to use the super to get out of there. Chris Wong's going to do death by 1,000 cuts. He will threaten that stun. It is a low-hanging fruit. Waits there.
Gets a throw, and that's a reset.
We are going to a reset.
At this point, I was just like, ooh, things getting good now.
3-0 against Umbra. What are you going to do now?
For the dozenth time this event, everyone thought, that's it. Umbra's done. Chris Wong has him figured out.
Don't count a guy out just because he got a bracket reset.
If Chris Wong is your first $1 million champion, you wouldn't complain it as Chris Wong. You talk about Luke, but you wouldn't complain.
Yeah, I mean, everyone talks about Luke in some way or another.
That is the epitome of consistency.
Mainly because people want him to be nerfed to hell.
Game in its first year, it makes so much sense.
And that is when everything changed. Move after move, Umbra demonstrated that he understood his character and Street Fighter 6 as a whole on an entirely
look at this. Look at this.
Still blocking it out here. Lovely defense here. Doesn't get the perfect parry, but yes, I'd send him away as well. I do not want to
also,
do
his parry game is like,
low vitality. And he gets through it.
Wow,
gets through it for dashing a DP.
Reacted to the sandblast with a drive rush, and even
more so, understand it was a 3-0 after the reset.
For the invincibility.
He was unlocking Juri's Feng Shui engine and pushing it to its limits. It
felt
as if Chris
going all
Wong
up to Instinct, Bankai, Super Saiyan, Domain Expansion, Sage Mode, whatever you want.
And he's going to do the Feng Shui engine, and it looks like, all right, he's going to go for a different conversion here instead.
Like freaking Devil Trigger, Dragon and Steel, you name it, he's got it.
That could have been it. He's still in dangerous territories.
Yeah.
Go overhead, please.
I mean, he could try, but
he's trying to perfect parry something to turn something around.
Yeah, there's a parry again, so Fireball's not going to work. No Fireball. And then, oh, nice to bait it out as well.
From that exchange and the pushback.
And just like that, so I was thinking, ooh, Umbra could do this.
Off of a -8 situation, it was too far.
I was rooting for Umbra because I am a fellow Hololive fan as well, so I was like, come on, Umbra,
and forced Chris Wong into a checkmate.
Let's see what the choice is from Umbra.
Yeah. Perfect parry. Hit immediate feng shui engine. And then the Umbra specialty.
He's got no resources, so he's going to play with the
stun. He's going to set him up for a
stun scenario. Let's see what he does.
Shouldn't take too many hits, and he's taking a lot of them. And watch this. Boom, focus attack, dizzy. That is game.
He's going to finish the combo. And ladies and gentlemen, $1 million is going to be awarded to Umbra. Nobody had him on the cards to take the cup.
Literally nobody. Ladies and gentlemen, the world's strongest and richest Miofa.
Your first $1 million champion for Street Fighter 6 here at Capcom Cup 10.
Umbra did it. He pulled off one of the craziest Cinderella stories in Street Fighter history, and he did it with nothing but sheer, unadulterated hard work. Umbra's story is special because of what it represents. The guy with no money, no sponsor, or championship pedigree showed up to the biggest stage and owned it his way. The guy who grinded all year long with a character that everyone else seemed to be giving up on. And when the chips were down, he proved he was just better. And at the end of the day, that is what fighting games are all about.
Thanks for watching.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that Capcom Cup specifically, that was the largest amount of money for a fighting game tournament ever. Well, so far. That's usually the sort of stuff which you see MOBAs like Dota 2 and League of Legends dishing out. Maybe Counter-Strike as well, but still though, like $1 million frickin' to the man with the Miofa hoodie, the Juri, and the Umbra. The Umbra factor. All I have to say is, like I said before, Hololive fans are just built different. Anyway, that was the Score Esports, how broke unsponsored Underdog became the first fighting game millionaire. You can all learn a lot from Umbra, to be fair. So, be sure to like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you lots in the next one. Ta-ra!